Well, shit. What is art? In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at art and the role that art plays in my life, and the role that it should play in your life. So what is art? Well, art is the creation of something out of nothing. The creation of something meaningful out of nothing. The creation of a message that is received by a spectator or elicits an emotional response. Now, you know, defining art in a pigeonhole way is absolutely ridiculous because it's nearly impossible. Like, there is no way that I can define art for you because art in and of itself is subjective. There's usually, I think there has to be a purpose behind it. There has to be a point behind it. There has to be something to it, but maybe not. I mean, maybe the point of art is not to have a point. I know none of this makes sense. It all seems very random, and sometimes art can be random. But the reality of the situation is this. Art is all around us. It's beautiful. Art can be in photography. It can be in the stand-up comedian who creates something out of nothing by making things funny where there wasn't anything before. It can even be the magician who creates a magic trick and makes you believe that the impossible is possible. He encourages you to embrace your imagination and try to accept things and suspend your disbelief that you know logically and scientifically are impossible. Art can also be poetry, it can be prose, it can be paint on canvas, it can be pen on cardboard, it can be ink, it can be crayons. Art can be anything. Hell, one artist got really famous when he took bodily fluids and put them in jars to further explore the human side of Jesus Christ. You may remember Piss Christ, which was a crucifix of Jesus with Jesus in a jar of urine. It got huge world press, and it was disgraceful and disrespectful. And you know what? It was art. It was this guy expressing himself, and it was part of a bigger. What a lot of people didn't realize is that was actually one piece of a much bigger set, and nobody really saw that because they saw a jar filled with urine and a cross, a religious symbol. So there's that. Now, for me, art is a way to deal with the world. Whenever I'm stressed, I like to sit down and I do these crazy line drawings. I call it parallel perpendicularism, but it's kind of an exploration into my ADD brain. For those of you that don't know, and those who know me do know this, but I have attention deficit disorder. I was diagnosed when I was in 4th grade, and I spent most of my life unmedicated and completely untreated. When I became an adult, I started taking medication and my quality of life just went through the roof. It was way better because I was able to concentrate and focus on things. Well, when I'm creating art, I can express myself in very unique ways. And there's a certain type of art that I do involving line work where you can point at any point on this piece of work and follow the lines with your finger, and you will find that it connects to something else. There's always a bigger part of the picture. It flows, and sometimes the big lines flow with the smaller lines, and even though nothing is connected, everything is connected. Even though it's completely random, there's a point to it. It's a very unique style of art, and as far as I know, I'm the only one that does it. But it's kind of like I said, it's kind of a peek into my ADD brain because, you know, the kicker about having ADD is that we tend to our executive functions are wonky. You know, we tend to not be able to focus on something unless it's something that is super interesting to us. And even then, we can only focus as long as it stays interesting. The minute we lose interest, we just stop doing it. And that's why we seem impulsive. It's because our brains are always searching for more of the chemicals that make us feel rewarded and make us feel happy. And that's a huge part of having ADD. There's 9 different kinds of ADD, and there's different ways to deal with it. There's stimulants, there's non-stimulants, and sometimes we get off on a rant and we don't even know what the hell we're talking about, kind of like right now. So for me, art is a way that I deal with my ADD, and so is photography. I've found that I am so easily distracted by something that I think is beautiful that I can't help but stop and take a picture of it, because I know that at some point I'm going to want to share that with somebody. I'm seeing something beautiful And I don't want that to pass. And I kind of pity those people, not pity, but I feel sorry for, yeah, I guess I do pity. I kind of pity people that aren't able to slow down. Life is stressful as shit. Slow down and take a look at the beautiful things around you and appreciate it. Because every moment is fleeting. Every second counts. It all matters, you know? So you want to slow down and kind of see the world around you and see the beautiful things, especially in nature, and appreciate art that other people create. Even if you don't agree with it, or it makes you feel something icky, it makes you feel gross, like Piss Christ, for example, you have to appreciate the fact that the artist was able to create that emotion in you out of nothing. There was nothing there before, you didn't feel anything, then you saw whatever it was and something stirred. Whether it's being intrigued, whether it's feeling sick, whether it's feeling joy. Some artistic pieces can make you cry. I mean, that's amazing. And you know, let's stop and appreciate the different kinds of art that are out there. I mentioned before, there's comedy. I think comedy is a fine art. Anything that you write, you know, they say write what you know and draw what you know and you know, paint what you know and photograph what you know. And it's because you're supposed to be true to yourself. You want to capture the things that capture your attention and that matter to you. And the idea is if you share that with other people, it'll matter to them as well. And that's so true. And with comedy, you know, the secret to comedy, in my opinion, is there has to be a victim. If there's a victim, it's funny. And if you don't have a victim in the joke, then you make a joke about yourself. And it's funny because people love to laugh people love people who make them laugh at them. It's fun to laugh at yourself. Self-deprecating humor, you'd be hard-pressed to find a comedian out there that doesn't use it at some point in their material. Magicians, you know, we create something out of nothing, as I mentioned. Writers do. Think about your favorite movie, especially if it's inspired by a book. You know, that's two different pieces of art. So you had to have the vision of the original author, and then the vision of the screenwriter, and then the vision of the person that was writing out the actual script and the set and all that stuff. And then there's comic books, and that tells a whole story. That's like our modern mythology. And then going even further, there's video games. And let's talk about video games for a minute, because, you know, it captures your attention. And a lot of people are like, oh, video games are stupid. But guess what? Take the time. I tell you what, this is a little side thing. I was going to do a separate video on this altogether, but I think I'm going to take a minute and put it in here. I have been a gamer all my life. My first game I ever played was Pong on Atari, and the whole purpose of Pong was to bounce a ball back and forth. It was kind of like table tennis. Then there was bricks, and then there was all these different games. Now, and as I was a kid, for me, graphics were more important than a storyline. I loved good graphics. I was a sucker for good graphics and sound quality and all that. And I remember thinking about the time of PlayStation, that the very first PlayStation, that I couldn't wait until a time when computer graphics were so advanced that the things that were in cutscenes were what gameplay is. Well, now with games like God of War and Far Cry 5, that's exactly what we have. And Assassin's Creed, we have games that the video quality is so good in gameplay that you'll be watching a cutscene and then it'll be time for you to play, and you don't even realize that it's now time for you to play, because there's no difference in picture quality. It's that good, you know? And that is art. I mean, think about it. There's sound designers that make a different sound for when your character steps on grass versus snow. There's lighting and shading effects depending on what time of day. There's an actual full-on story that's usually gorgeous, and you know, if the best games, like now the games I'm into are very gripping and moving, and they tell a story that's compelling, and that's all art, you know? So take the time to really appreciate the art and the effort that people put forth to move you and to amuse you, and look at things a little deeper and a little bit more with a critical eye, and see the intent that people put out there. And if you don't understand their intention, create one of your own. Create your own understanding. Really take the time to find something that you appreciate about all art, no matter where it is, and think to yourself, you know what, wow, this is kind of art. Even newscasts are art, because you have a color scheme that is psychologically designed to make you feel a certain way. There's so much psychographics that go into this sort of thing. The font used is designed to express a sense of urgency, you know? The lighting is designed to keep you alert and keep the news reporters alert, you know? Everything is art. It is everywhere. It is important. It is critical. And That's why I love art. That's what art is about to me. And so thank you for taking the time to hear me out. And now I'm going to go ahead and step off my soapbox. But if you like this video and you like my content, do me a favor, give it a share, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. You know, I'm making these videos and I know hardly anybody's seeing them because I'm not very good at publicizing them, but they're designed so that you can interact with me and carry on the conversation. So if you have a thought that you'd love to, that you want to put out there, let me know. Put it in the comments and maybe I'll feature it in the next video. I have no problem giving shout outs. So thank you very much for your time, and Godspeed.